Good morning and welcome to Brag the Mic podcast with Agent of Change, DeCorey Davis. And this week's segment is titled Celebrating Influential Women in America for Women's Histories Month. And to help me further this discussion, I have a group of vivacious ladies ready to chime in with their sentiment. The guests include Chanel Jackson Moore, author, businesswoman, and First Lady of the Bread of Life Community Church in Miami Gardens, Florida. Jerry Robinson, author, certified life coach, international preacher, and social media phenom. Tamika Brown, mental health professional, businesswoman, and executive to the podcast. Also, Lori Hadley Davis, author and CEO and founder of the Hadley Davis Funeral Home in Miami in 2 locations. And also Isaiah Wallace, motivational speaker and owner of Crown Security Company and executive to the podcast. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Okay. The godfather of soul, James Brown, coined the phrase in a song released in 1966 entitled, "It's a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl." However, strangely enough, in his song, he lists a litany of achievements that men have accomplished throughout their lifetime. But he places a heavy emphasis on the need of women. Yet, women are devalued in many ways, in my view. For example, the gender pay gap. And according to the Census Bureau, which looks at the annual pay of full-time workers, it suggested the following, that women are paid 80 cents for every dollar men are paid, end quote. Now, let's just delve into this discussion if we may. And I want to ask the question to the panel. Do you feel that women should be paid equal salaries for the jobs they do that was once held by their counterparts in a male-dominating society? And if so, why or why not?
Well, I really believe that the question shouldn't even be asked in this day and age. James Brown was absolutely correct. Nothing could, he was absolutely correct in what he was saying. I don't even think that it should even still be an issue, but unfortunately it is. But if we're putting in equal work, then there should be equal pay. If we are, having an equal or even a higher education, of course, we should be compensated for such. So I'm not sure why that's even still an issue. It's some other issues. We're created equally, in terms of what we can contribute. Now, if whatever the job is called for, if we're capable and we're able to do it is equally as a man, whatever job that is, then I believe that we should be compensated for such. So it shouldn't be based on gender at all. It should be the value of the job. If you can do it, then you do it. The Bible says that the ox is worthy of the labor. So whichever ox it is that's treading out that corn should definitely be compensated if the job is getting done. So that shouldn't even continue to be an issue that needs to be resolved quickly.
I couldn't agree with you more, Chanel. More. And you know what? Suffice it to say, it's been since 1920 where women were given their rights. And if we look at it up until today, that's 102 years to be exact. However, the issue and the inequities with respect to pay, it still exists in society. I digress. Next guest want to share?
Does anybody else want to share?
Yes, Lori, you want to go? Go ahead, Lori.
Yes, I would tag Ms. Moore. I certainly agree. I think, and I may be biased for saying this, I'm like Ms. Moore, I don't even think there should be a question, because the way things are now, women are kind of like superseding in a lot of areas in this world, as far as jobs, careers, families, and everything. And I think women are kind of like, I don't want to say it to be prejudiced, but we are kind of like doing, kind of like taking over. And our job should be paid just like a man should be paid. If we do the job, we should be able to be paid equal and not be paid less because we're female. We should be paid just as much as a man if we're doing the job. We qualify, and most of the women, we are more than overqualified than our counterparts. We are more qualified.
Let me just ask this next question, if I may. As a woman, what are some challenges you face to break barriers in your industry?
Well, I'll say for me, I'm a licensed funeral director and embalmer in the state of Florida. And I had a lot of challenges because I was not accepted because I was a female. In my industry, you always heard a man being a funeral director, owner of the establishment. And I believe that I broke the barrier when I opened up I've been in the business almost 20 years, and you didn't see many women. You saw women grab a box of tissue, fan the family, maybe go pick up the families. But the women didn't have a role as far as starting the business, being an embalmer, coming out, meeting with families, and basically carrying the whole institution. And when I first got in the business, I was frowned upon, looked down on, and it kind of made me laugh, but basically that was my push because it was a male-dominated industry. I don't know who made it that way, but it was always that way for a long time. And in my field, the only woman that was coming around was Miss Anthony Range. Basically, that was someone I looked up to. She was the only one basically did what I'm doing right now, that came out in the business and kind of owned their own funeral home and would, I would say, to be the chief in charge. So I was kind of looked down on because of that. And since I've been open almost 14 years ago, July, I've kind of like brought up a lot of women and gave them the kind of nudge to, you can do it. I mean, we don't have to be in the back, we could be in the front. We could call the shots too. So I kind of made a difference, and I always told the women, get educated. And when you get educated, you could rule in any profession. I mean, they got educated, our counterpartners, you could get educated. So you just gotta learn, and that's what I did. I broke barriers in the state of Florida because I even trained a lot of the funeral directors that came up after me. And basically, wow. I wouldn't say I'm biased, but I didn't train you if you wasn't a woman because I had a point to make and I had a goal to meet. And I wanted to let a male-dominated industry know that women can be in charge.
Absolutely. Well stated, Lori Hatley Davis. You want to go ahead, First Lady Moore?
Sure. Well, so some of the ways that I would say that I've had to break barriers, or some of those challenges, would be, of course, in the area of ministry, because, you know, in the position that I'm in, my husband is the senior pastor, and I'm considered the executive pastor. Most people would say first lady, but when they label you with the term first lady, it kind of comes with a set of expectations. They expect first ladies to sit in the corner with hats on and look cute and be far removed from the congregation, or far removed from what's actually going on in the church. You know, it's the pastor's members, and it's the pastor is the, you know, the center of the church, of course, besides Jesus. But, you know, I was never that person. I played a very intricate role in coming alongside my husband to help establish the place. So, I mean, I am the co-founder, I'm the vice president.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I took a great role in being an administrative and executive pastor here at Bread of Life Community Church. Besides executively, I'm also a great factor involved in the congregation. I'm not one of those first ladies that's removed from the members of the church. I have very good and close relationships. So I kind of co-shepherd, if you will,
Right.
the
Absolutely.
members of this work along with him. And so some of the challenges have been managing, I would say, people's expectations of what that should look like. And where I should be, what I should be doing, what I should be wearing, what I should be saying, how much should I speak, how I should sit down, I should sing, I should do that. So I think one of the biggest challenges is just breaking that barrier of people's expectations. People aren't used
Absolutely.
to most pastors' wives being as open and authentic as I am. You know what I mean? And so I think that's been one of the things, is just embracing who I really am and being unashamed about that. Being unapologetic about who God created me to be. And I'm going to bless the people with who I am and not what people say I should be. And so I would say that that's one of the biggest challenges in ministry that pastors' wives have to overcome, is giving into the pressure of the roles of expectations of what people say you should be, instead of embracing who they really are and then being a blessing of who they really are to the people.
Absolutely. I welcome that sentiment. And I'll say this here, heavy the head that wears the crown. So it's a lot of work. I can definitely imagine being a first lady and the first, one of the first women I know outside of athlete range, as you so wonderfully stated, Mrs. Hatley Davis. It's a very difficult task for a woman to break into what I know about the funeral industry here, even in Miami. I can just look at all of the ones from what is it, Hall, Ferguson, Hewitt, Range, Portier. So you have definitely, Mrs. Davis, become a trailblazer and definitely a role model for a lot of women, younger women who are actually may desire to come into that field. You are the beacon of hope for them, to say the least.
Absolutely. I definitely agree that all women should be paid equal salaries for the jobs that was once held by counterparts, of course, the male in male dominating fields. I feel regardless of the gender, we all have our contribution. We all have our educational background, our expertise, our experience, and all of those things are valuable regardless whether you're male or female. And so, speaking even of myself, that is not just in ministry, but I'm also educated. I'm a certified life coach. I'm a business owner. I teach finances and business, help small business owners. And I will want to also get paid for my same expertise that I have. And so I think that we've come a long way with that, but there's still so much more that we need to do.
I welcome that sentiment, Jerry. All right.
Yes.
As a woman, what are some challenges you face to break barriers in your industry, Jerry?
Wow. I mean, first starting with the ministry part of it, for a long time. And as we know, there are unfortunately people still in the Christian industry, Christian market that says that women cannot be on the platform to preach the gospel, right? Which is very, very odd, especially when Jesus have used so many women in the Bible. I mean, let's just name one, Prophetess Deborah, right? We can name another one, the woman at the well who went and got healed from the Lord and dropped her water pots and went immediately to tell people about this man that she met called Jesus, right? And she became an instant evangelist. And so there are many, many women in the Bible that God have used. And so absolutely, as a female preacher, it has definitely been some areas where you could definitely tell women are not necessarily welcome. But I also believe that there is a rise of the child women. There's a rise in the women that are getting ready to take the Christian, industry, or I would say by storm, the Christian arena by storm, but also in the marketplace, right? There are still some positions that we're still trying to fight for. There are still some places of authority that we are not yet able to obtain because they don't feel that women are able to emotionally handle it, that they're able, maybe educationally, maybe they don't have the temperament to be able to handle that particular position. But I believe even now with our our justice system, right? We're getting ready to have the nomination for the first African American in the judicial system. And so that along it by itself, it means that we have come a long way as it relates to that. And so we're still trying to push in those markets. And I think we're actually making some headway in it.
Yes, good morning again, everybody. I wanted to pose this question to Jerry and the panel. What are some of the best examples of positive changes in your industry that you've noticed over the last 5 years?
Thank you. Listen, I feel that we have absolutely have changed a whole lot as it relates to females in business. And one of those ways is employment, right? Employment by female-led enterprises and businesses. That alone have gone up, especially before the pandemic, right? And also, not only that, I've also seen an increase in revenue as far as women getting paid, increasing in promotions, increasing in their salaries. I have also seen that going up. I've also seen where women have not been afraid, and this is where I'm so passionate about, because I actually fired my boss during the pandemic. I was working on my job as a business manager for about 10 years. And I fired my boss during the pandemic. You know, God told me to step off my job and go into full-time entrepreneurship and full-time ministry. And I've noticed that a lot of people wanted to take that leap, but was afraid to take it. But since the pandemic, we've seen that increase go really, really up, especially in females who are ready to just go ahead and launch out in their own businesses. So I've seen those different areas going up. And this is what makes me so excited, because I get to see just the potential of people that was once afraid in the past, now going ahead and taking that confidence to another level in the future.
You can go ahead, Lori.
Okay. In the last 5 years with me, I put inside of the women that I come in contact with that you can't do it. I don't let people, when they come into grace my presence, that say you can't do it. So most of the women that I get that want, I go out to the college, I go out to the mortuary school, and I go to a lot of the funerals, and I always hear women say, oh, I wanted to do that. And my question is always, why didn't you do that? And a lot of them is because of push family. They didn't think they could do it. So in the last 5 years, I have literally brought up a lot of women up behind me, and even brought them into my establishment and employed them. And I also counsel them to tell them, or even go as far as to say, I'll take you to the college. Go to school, I'll train you. I have a training facility at one of my locations, and I even bring them in. So in the last 5 years, I've had 3 licensed funeral directors that came up under me. They not only their own funeral home, but they working in various funeral homes. And I don't train them to stay with me. I train them to go abroad, because what I plan in them will always stay with them. And I always tell them, you could be your own boss. You don't have to, I mean, it's okay if somebody else is your boss, but your ultimate goal is to be your own boss. So in the last 5 years, that's what I have implanted in women that came in contact with me. And I also have brought up at least 5 women that graduated from mortuary school, trained up under me, and now they're working in their gift.
Absolutely, absolutely. You want to go ahead, Lady Shamor?
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the things that I've seen that's been changing is the fact that I believe that women in my position are beginning to, like salt, own their flavor, I should say. They're beginning to shine their light of authenticity and relatability, right? Because for so long, I feel like it's been suppressed in most places. Like this is a male dominated profession. But over the past years, we've been finding more women finding their voices, doing conferences and doing different things. So I believe that they're breaking out of the box. And I don't want to say of the authority of the man. I don't take away from male authority. I don't take away. I really do honor and respect men of God. I just feel like, God has allowed us to have a light and he's allowed us to be salt. But because of tradition, we've been held back in corners, or tried to have our lights dimmed, right, or hidden under a bushel. And so now I'm noticing in the last several years that women are beginning to shine. They're not afraid
Absolutely.
to embrace their self, because it's only then can they be effective, if you would. I've seen so many women leaving the church to go out and follow people that's real, kind of wretched and just all off. But it's because they identify with their authenticity. And so
Right.
as women of God in this position, when you're responsible for leading other people, for being examples, for teaching others and making disciples, I really feel like we have to do that from an authentic place. And we have to use our voice. That voice can't be shut down. That voice is important in this day and age where you do have women succeeding and you have women breaking past barriers that they've never been able to do before. I like to say this is the year of the woman. There's no other greater time to be a Black woman than there is today. This is an amazing time to be a Black woman. Okay, this is an amazing time to be a Black woman.
Talk, Sister Moore.
Yes, it's really an amazing time to be a woman.
I just want to piggyback off of you with the ministry. I totally 100% agree with her. And I got an old saying, and people say that I'm just a little vague when I say that if you take all the women out the church, you ain't got no church.
Listen.
And then on top of that, I think when they came up with the thing, because I came from a very old-fashioned church. I was in Bible Baptist church for 20-something odd years, me and my husband and my family. And they didn't believe in women ministers behind the pulpit. And I always laughed at that, because as I grew spiritually, I always said, when Jesus rose, who was the first person he talked to? And what did who did he talk to? What was her gender, and what did he tell her to do?
Go and tell.
Talk to me, somebody. So that's the gospel. That's the gospel.
Listen, on the day of Pentecost, the first words to the church was that your sons and your daughters will prophesy. Okay.
My God.
So listen, this is the last day. And we shall prophesy. This is not the day that we sit in the corner with our mouths closed. And they need to stop taking that scripture out of context about having your women be silent in the church. There's a time and a place for everything. And in this season, the time and the place is for us to be that light, to be that salt, and to be effective in ministry, and especially when it comes to assisting and discipling women coming under us that's reaching past these barriers. They need guidance. And they need help, and we can no longer afford to sit in a corner with a hat on and be unrelatable and unreachable to them. It's my duty to teach them. It's my duty to show them the way, and it's my duty to keep pushing them to higher heights and deeper depths. If I'm sitting in a corner being far removed, then I'm an ineffective person in this field, and that can no longer be.
Well, on my end, all I have to say to that is amen.
Oh, okay.
All righty then.
That was well said. Well said.
As I was stating, and let me just say, okay. Well, I just find it strange that we're having this conversation while we're actually nominating for the Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson, and her hearing is actually taking place. So for those men who are still with their chauvinistic ways, I would kind of caution them to bow down. Hey, it is women. This is a woman's world.
But not only
I say.
Not
Go
only
ahead, Tamika, I'm sorry.
Not only Ms. Brown, but how about the Vice President of the United States?
Come on.
I agree.
It should have kind of leaned up back then.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Tamika, with your sentiment. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I already gave my sentiment. I completely 100% agree with the ladies. So my sentiment was amen. A to the men.
Okay. All right, let's proceed with the next question. Does being a boss chick pose challenges for male partners in a relationship or marriage? It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Being a boss lady, and if you don't have that male or that spouse who is equally successful as you, it can either be a deal killer or a deal maker. You share your thoughts.
You know what? I laugh at this because I get this so, oh my goodness, I get this so often. Especially because I am extensively in ministry. I'm definitely considered that boss chick where, you know, I don't have to depend on anyone's salary. I don't have to do all of that. I mean, you know, I'm still single, right? Live in a private community, gated community, and you know, have my own business, do my own thing and all of that.
Right.
So I get that all the time, you know, and I'm gonna be honest with you. The answer for me would be yes. So I would have to say yes, because a lot of people, unfortunately, if you don't have a strong individual to be able to recognize not just a gift, but be able to recognize the person and be able to look, look past that gift, look past what they do, and actually see that this is a real person that have real needs, have real emotions. And so if I'm able to tap into the real person and not just tap into who they are and what they were created to do, I think that you will overcome those challenges.
Well, let me just go ahead then. So the term boss chick in itself, you know, it kind of gives a negative connotation in a sense, you know. I believe that we can be strong, you know, in the streets and a lady in the sheets per se, you know. And here's the thing, you know, I think it's all in the attitude in which we possess, because sometimes it's very difficult to be a boss in the boardroom and then come home and submit. Now that is something that we have to keep in check. You know what I mean? Because if you're managing people all day and you are the one barking orders all day, it's going to be very difficult to come home and submit, or I should say, you know, and not be bossing orders around. You know, it's natural for a woman to you know, it's natural for us to act like a mom. And you know, oftentimes our husband will say, wait a minute, you ain't my mama, okay? And so we have to keep that in mind. However, it should not threaten the relationships. I think that on both parts, it has to be managed. We have to do a better job as women in knowing where we're giving orders at, because we're not married to our children, right?
That's
so
correct.
I think it's a matter of discerning and knowing when to fall back and allowing him to lead, right? But at the same time, if you're married to a man that's insecure, he's gonna have a problem with that anyway. So we just hope and pray that our men could be secure in the midst of our success and be cheerleaders and be confident in who they in the role that they have in our lives. So if you have a strong some women are alpha females, some women are not, you know, but you have to know who it is that you chose and celebrate her and her success and be okay with who you are and confident in her love. Now, if she come off a little too strong, you have to know how to check her. All right, baby, you know, I only got one mama. You know what I'm saying? I only have one mama, you know, and then we'll fall back. So I think it's an art that has to be learned between the two. You have to learn, just like anything else, how do we dance together? Now, both my husband and I, we both have strong personalities, you know, and there's times where he would have to put his foot down and be like, wait a minute, you going too far. And then I have to say, hey, you right, you know, or whatever. But we have to learn to do this dance together, because both of us are reaching for higher places. And so I'll respect you as you respect me, but insecurities definitely have to go out of the window.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. You want to go ahead and share your thoughts, Tamika?
Sorry about that. I would agree definitely with Ms. Moore. I will say that I believe it can pose challenges. It shouldn't, as long as, you know, the two people are affirmed in who they are, know exactly what the vision is, what they're aiming for. I think you should be able to encourage each other's strengths, be able to lift each other up, support each other. But I think, as Ms. Moore said, it is a dance. In any relationship, it's a two-way street. And so we have to learn to, there are times where we have to learn to acquiesce, times that we have to submit, times that we have to be a little bit more, subdued or submissive, nurturing. And other times we may have to be a little bit more assertive, but it is a dance. And I think if you have a partner who is already affirmed, it makes it much easier. As she said, if you have someone who's dealing with insecurities, that can definitely be a problem. Especially when, let's say the woman is maybe earning more, or tends to be a little bit more dominant, or is just, a master at all of the things that she does. If that gentleman is not affirmed, it could potentially definitely be a problem. I think one of the most important things is to have a conversation, is to also understand each other, be able to be as compatible as possible. And any issues there's naturally going to be conflict in relationships, but it's to be able to say, okay, I may not agree with you on this, but let's talk it out. Because at the end of the day, I need you to be my friend, I need you to be my partner, I need you to be my main support system.
Absolutely.
And so so I just think that it can be, it shouldn't be, but it can be, to answer in the short version of that.
Okay, we welcome that. Go ahead, Laura. You want to share your thoughts on it, Ms. Davis?
Yes, I guess I don't face challenges there. I've been married 36 years, and I guess I've been married 36 years, and I've been married since I was 19. So in my profession, me and my husband grew together. I've always been a force to be reckoned with. And one thing I don't take no for an answer. So with him, he always kind of like let me lead, I would say, in the career, because me building the funeral homes, my husband worked at a 9 to 5, and he was there for 20 something odd years. So one day I just came home and say, why don't you come and join me so we could make this empire greater? You could work for yourself. So I basically told him, okay, take your pension, let it roll over, and let's come and let's open up multiple funeral homes. So his vision was, when you go up, I go up. If I go up, you go up. So basically, we married to death do us part. So I knew that nothing was going to divide us but death. So with that being said, I always told him, let's go after it. We got to make that bag. We got to make it. So with me running funeral homes day in and day out, he knows that I knows the way. So because I know the way, he gonna always he learned from me. So right now we have 2 locations. He run one, I run one, and we trying to open up another one. So he basically learned from everything that I taught. So when I come home and be a wife and a mother and a grandmother, I'm easily to settle down, because I done dealt with being the boss all day. I could come home and be submissive, but in my household, we work together with everything. We come home, our children are grown. So when we come home, we help each other. We cook together, we do everything together. It's like basically my husband is my best friend. Besides God, he's my everything. So we don't look at each other. All we look at is making more money. And if we made $3 million last year, we need to make 4. So our talk is always make more money, make more money, make more money. So we secure with that. I don't have challenges with that. And I think God just gave me the perfect husband for my profession. I've been blessed in that area. So I really, when we dance together, and when we make decisions, we make them together. And it's all, if we disagree on something, basic thing, he'll say, well, I know what you're going to say at the end. How we're going to win. And so, I think it could pose challenges for some people. I can't really speak much on that, because like I said, I've been with my husband so much. He know what I'm thinking. I know what he's thinking. And we just work together to build an empire. And he know 9 out of 10, I ain't going to accept no way. So he always say, I'm going to say yes, because I know you're not going to accept no for nothing I say. So he just spoiled me like that. So I don't have that kind of challenge.
Absolutely. And you know what? I can say, having seen you and your husband and Pastor Moore and First Lady more the interaction and the synergy between both relationships. It's real. It's authentic. So I can say that. So that's a blessing. Let me ask this next question, if I may. How does a modern woman effectively manage work, business, home, self-care, and fun? Go ahead and share, Lady Moore. First Lady Moore.
How do we manage it effectively? I just feel like we are capable of managing everything. It's what we do. We love what we do. If we love work and home and so, everything, I think that it's what we do well as women. We multitask, we manage things. And when we start noticing that something is off, I think it's just taking it back to the drawing board and looking at it. What I would do is I would create a chart every year, and I would kind of like measure on a scale if there's any areas that's lacking, because I want every area in my life to be whole. And so I want to make sure that that there's a balance. And I would say that's the thing, is mastering the balance of doing what you love. One doesn't have to take precedence over the other. I don't have to give up business to stay home. I can effectively manage them all if I prioritize, my time and keep a balance, and loving myself in the process, making sure that I'm pouring out from a full vessel and not an empty one would allow me to continue to balance effectively.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to go ahead and share, Lori?
Basically with me, I was poor first at managing. I'm not like Pastor Moore. I was very poor with kind of managing because I was in college. I'm trying to work on my master's and I was all over the place. But now me and my husband just purchased a home in Davie. And basically now with the business, I just hire people in position. So like you said, you didn't get my bio. I have people to do everything. I have a housekeeper, I have assistants, I have all of that. So basically I don't have to really do nothing but take care of myself and basically manage the money and basically have fun basically with my grandkids. I have 9 grandchildren. So
oh wow.
Awesome. I've not been good in the past, but I've hired people in places that they could take care of everything for me. So all they do is come to me for what's the final answer. So that's been working for me because I was working 12 and 14 hours a day at the funeral homes. When you build in a business, you work a lot of hours and you need somebody to understand. And my husband, he never said anything, but I could tell it looked like 12 o'clock you coming home, 2 o'clock you coming home. So what I did was I just hired people you can take care of this. Can you manage my schedule? Can the housekeeper come? Can you do this? And let's take trips together. And I basically got people to manage that. So that helps me be a better wife, mother, and business owner. And that's what helped me because I was all over the place. So I thank God that He have blessed me in so many areas that I can be able to function like that and live the life like that. So that's been working, and I just pray it continue.
You know what? That's really good. I'm glad you said that because that is important. It's for us to get help and to seek help where it's needed. That is absolutely necessary. That's really good.
Yeah, I was very poor with it. I mean, I just was working basically for anybody. I don't know, when you're building a business and you're a female, I didn't receive any help or any financial support or moral support. The only support I had was my mother and my husband. And my husband was just, that's what you want to do it. So I was all over the place just trying to make it happen. When you're trying to make it happen, I was praying more than I was moving. I was moving more than I was praying. And I think my faith in God just did it for me. So honestly, I was just all over the place. So when God blessed me in so many financial ways, I just delegated things. I had a hard time delegating responsibilities because I felt like the only way it could be right if I do it. And
yeah, that's true.
It was wearing my body down because I was trying to be everything and everybody. And God just told me, I bless you with this. let it go. It's going to work well.
Wow.
You train them well. So I just turned everything over to everybody, and basically, like right now, I'm just taking care of my health and doing better, and just that's it. That's what I do every day. Just I handle the money. Let me just put it that way. I make sure the money right and take care of me. Everything else is delegated out. That's what I do.
Okay. All right, Tamika, you want to go ahead and share your sin?
I would just piggyback on what the lady said. I completely agree. One of the things that I'm trying to get to where Miss Davis is, but being for me, I wear many, many hats. I have two businesses. I'm a mental health therapist. I'm also a minister at my church, and I'm also looking to get into some different endeavors. So for me, I'm actually facing that issue right now where I am trying to effectively balance, and it is definitely not easy. We're still in the building phase of our businesses. So for us, it is a lot of work. It is those long days, long nights. And so my husband and I actually have just had this conversation where we just had to talk about getting a housekeeper. I would love a chef. I love a personal trainer, but of course, one thing at a time, because we do have to build and watch finances. But I think it's definitely important for women and just entrepreneurs in general to be able to balance everything effectively. You do need to hire help. You do need to hire proper staff, get some reinforcements in place so that you can sit back and have a little bit of time, more time in your relationship, more time with your children, more time for yourself, for self-care. That's one of the things I always tell my clients, especially if you're dealing with anxiety, depression, just anything in life. You need to balance with just taking care of you. So I would, just simply agree with the ladies and say, yes, definitely get some help, some reinforcements that will help you to manage effectively, as possible.
Isaiah has a question. Isaiah, you want to go?
Yes. In life, there are ups and downs. What would you say to a woman who's down to encourage them to keep moving forward?
I'll start off with this one, actually, just to actually piggyback on what we've been talking about. I believe, it's the same sentiment. It's taking care of you. We all have our life in general comes with its ups and downs. It comes with ebbs and flows, financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically, in just every realm, every facet of life is going to come with ups and downs. But it's how you manage those ups and downs. And so one of the things that I would say, just being a child of God, first and foremost, I would encourage every person to accept the Lord Jesus Christ as your personal savior. Having a relationship with the Lord is one of the most critical decisions. It is one of the wisest decisions I believe one could ever make. It doesn't mean you won't face problems, doesn't mean you won't face trials and tribulations. However, it means that you have a source, you have the ultimate source that is able to help you, to guide you, to keep you, to comfort you, to be your peacemaker, to be your physician, to be your all in all, to be that rock for you. Because there are times, as much as I love my husband, he can't be, no one person can bear the responsibility of making you happy, of being your all in all. That's what the Lord is for, and we know he's a jealous God. So I would say definitely a relationship with the Lord to make sure that your spirituality is intact. You have that as your all in everything. It is your back. It is. Next, I would say definitely get a social support system, social support structure, that you have good people in your life. I always say everybody needs an apostle and a prophet. Everybody needs a prayer warrior. My girlfriends are my, go-to outside of my husband. I have good girlfriends that I can lean on, that I can say, hey, what do you think about this? Or, you know what, I just need you to pray for me today. I won't even tell you what it is. Just let the Lord lead you. I have a good, very, very good relationship with my mom and my family. And, so I have certain social systems in place that are able to help me on those down days. So I would encourage everybody, make sure that you have good people around you, people that are able to speak life into you, people that are able to encourage you, people that are able to pray for you, pray with you. And I would say also, if just because I'm in the field, of course, but if you need that extra help professionally from a licensed therapist, or even someone working on their licensure, but long story short, get professional help. A mental health therapist, if you're going through issues in your marriage, a marriage and family therapist, who, just a life coach, someone who can help you, preferably, of course, somebody who is saved, but somebody who can help you, who has a relationship with God and also has the clinical interventions that will be able to give you, some added support and coping mechanisms for whatever you're going through. And I guess I don't want to take from anybody's time, so I'll just wrap up and say, sometimes you also have to just encourage yourself.
Isaiah, you have the sixth question.
Yes. In life, there are ups and downs. What would you say to a woman who's down to encourage them to keep moving forward?
Wow. First of all, I would tell you the number one thing is it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. You don't have to have the superwoman mentality. And you know what? I've been there, done that, got a t-shirt for it. Oftentimes, I'm telling you, I really, really do. And I realized that I was burning myself out. I was giving what was my leftovers and not giving myself what was actually in my cup. And so you don't deserve leftovers. You deserve the benefit of having all that God has for you in your life, right? And the next thing that I would tell you to do is get rid of unnecessary baggage. Get rid of unnecessary baggage. One of the things that I've learned in my travels when I jump on a plane, right? The first thing that the people tell me is, Miss Robinson, is there any baggage that you have with you that will not be able to be in the on the top of this particular plane or at the bottom of the plane? And they said that we're going to have to go ahead and check it in, right? There are often times that we're bringing in unnecessary baggage and we're trying to juggle it all and bring it on the plane with us. But guess what? That plane, if it's overloaded, it cannot go to the height that it need to go in order for you to get to your destination. And so you got to be able to learn how to unload yourself in the different various seasons of your life. It's okay to tell people no. It's okay to set those boundaries around yourself, because guess what? In the end of it all, you will be a better version. And that's what you want to be able to give to everybody else.
I think that's most important. You want to go ahead and share your thoughts, Lori? Hadley Davis?
Basically, I would agree with Miss Brown, but for me, my relationship with the Lord. I mean, I'm very like a private person, and throughout my struggles and hard times, and if I have to encourage somebody, I always go to the Word with them, because that's what I use. A prayer life. I think if you got prayer life, you got power. If you ain't got no prayer life, you ain't got no power. So I was very blessed that my husband, I could vent to him about anything. And one of the people on my team, I do have a life coach and a therapist that is on my team. I just launched a podcast January 2nd, Don't Tell Me You Can't Do It. And it's a podcast that's changing lives to change directions. And I have a mental health producer that's on there that kind of like guide and not only lead me, but lead in other direction. So I agree, you got to have positive people in your life. Basically with me, when I'm going through something, I'm not a person of talking too much with it. I just go to the King of Kings, and God always lead me, because sometimes when you talk to people, like she said, people want to know when, why, whatever. So when people come to me, I always tell them, child, pray. You got to have a prayer life.
Right.
Trust God, have faith. Now, if you don't see it right away, you got to keep going. So I kind of like model my life after that. So, I have sisters and stuff like that. And basically, like she said, you can have a whole big family, but sometimes you have to just encourage yourself, because what I find, everybody don't see your dream. Like, my family say to me, why are you doing so much? You made it. Why are you doing it? But you think I made it, but do I think I've made it? So
That's right.
that people sometimes don't see your vision and your drive. You know, I made it in this area, but I want to do this. And so what I find, like she said, when nobody encourage you, encourage yourself. But I just pray a lot, I meditate a lot, and I keep a close relationship with the Lord. And basically my husband is my big pusher, and I have one daughter. She pushes me and pushes me. And so, you know, I'm just to the point when I meet other women, I always tell them you can't do it. And I'm the type of person, I don't like excuses for people saying they can't do it. You can't do it.
Absolutely.
You don't want to do it. You can do it. Take the can't out your vocabulary. Now, are you going to face some obstacles? Yes, you are. But only people that's going to win is the people that stay on course. So I try to encourage people that way, and I always tell them, look at my life. If I gave up, where would I be? So I always tell people, if you got to go to your pastor, you got to go to other people, so be it. It's just with me, I just feel like my relationship with the Lord, I mean, I could go to him about anything and I ain't got to worry about it being repeated. I ain't got to worry about it going nowhere. He just gonna make a way for me. So that's just how I've been. Just to encourage people, I just tell them that's what I do. So, you know, it's good to have friends and stuff like that, but my schedule's so hectic and busy, I don't really have many of those, and I don't kind of like indulge much with outside activity. My life is just church, the funeral home, my podcast, my husband and my kid. I don't have a social life, so I really don't really get out much. I'm trying to reach goals, and I can't socialize trying to reach my goals. So that's just me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I welcome that sentiment. You want to go ahead, First Lady Moore?
I mean, everything that the lady said was true. You know, I agree. Different women need different bouts and words of wisdom. You know, I would just try to be prayerful to discern what it is that they need. But I would just tell them, you know, trust God. You got this. You know, Jeremiah says, I know the plans that I have towards, you know, for you. And so it's just important that you just keep the faith and keep it moving. Times are gonna be hard, you know. So it's just a matter of your perspective. You have to have faith in God's plan for your life and know that you were created with a purpose. He wouldn't put more on you than you could bear. So sometimes we just have to just encourage ourselves, get up and keep it moving. You know, we just have to keep it moving. You know, I just tell them, hey, I look them dead in the eye and say, you got this. It's gonna be all right. It's just as simple as that. It's gonna be all right. Just keep it moving.
Right.
You got this.
Amen. I received that, and I received that. That's a prophecy. I received that. Okay, that's the last question for the evening. What is the best obstacle that women face? The biggest obstacle that women face, and what steps can be taken to improve it? Be it your relationship, your business, or your career or ministry, whatever. Well, just in general, what are some of the biggest obstacles that women face in your view?
Support and being accepted.
Wow, powerful.
Support and being accepted. And a lot of women, they want to be accepted and they want the support. And I think there's one of the biggest obstacles that I face. But to say to improve it, like Pastor Moore and Ms. Brown said, you gotta encourage yourself. And you gotta know that God made you for something, and you just gotta do it. When nobody encourage you, encourage yourself. And how you improve it is, to me, go out there and do what you have to do. Like me, when I started out in the funeral business, I didn't want to work underneath nobody. So what I did was I went and educated myself and did what I needed to do, but I don't have to be beneath you, but I could be with you. So, you know, a lot of people, that was my obstacle, because women that's not educated in my field, you gonna walk behind them. You're not gonna walk beside them. So what I did was, because I want to walk beside a man in my profession, I went and got the same criteria, the same education, the same licenses. I went and did all of that in the same training that it could qualify me that I could walk beside you. So that was one of my biggest obstacles, because when I opened up my business 14 years ago, I would never forget it. I had a man figure in my life, and he told me, you're not gonna last. And he
Wow.
says, doing it the way you doing it, you ain't gonna last. And I got so much negativity, and I got negativity from one prominent pastor in Miami, but I won't mention his name. And I think his kid gave me my blessing, because he looked down on me so much till he don't know when he looked down on me, his hurt was my blessing. And sometimes
Wow.
when people think they hurt you, they kind of bless you. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
to break that, how I improved was I showed you differently. 14 years later, I'm at the top of my game. So look at me now. So that's what I do.
I
So,
like that.
you know, that was my obstacle, and my obstacle was being accepted. And that was the biggest thing. And nobody wants to help you. People help you when you make it. But
That's
people
true.
don't help you before you make it. You go to people and say, I got this vision, I want to do this, I want to do this. If they're not going to help you unless it's going to benefit them, unless they're going to put up, unless you kind of going to them for money. But the way I did, I educated myself. And just before I opened up my funeral home, my dad got killed in 2007. And I had a healthy lawsuit after my dad. So when I came into the business, I didn't have to come begging. I came educated. I came with a little money. So it kind of helped me along the way. The only thing I hurt was my feelings. And I had to let them brush off my back like water on a duck's back. And it kind of like, those was my obstacles. My biggest obstacle was not being accepted, being a Black African-American female, being a licensed funeral director. I was not accepted.
Powerful. That's powerful, Lori Davis. You want to go ahead and share, Lady Moore, First Lady Moore?
Sure. I would say that our biggest obstacles sometimes could actually be ourselves, you know,
Wow.
and I think that we put limits on ourselves, and sometimes we make excuses for ourselves. You know, we focus on past traumas, we focus on and we may carry a lot of emotional baggages. We don't get the help that we need to do better sometimes, you know. So I think that if we would just take the limits off, take the caps off, and realize our full potential, then we could reach for the stars. I mean, there's nothing stopping us sometimes but us, you know. And
That's
so
right.
I believe that if we, like I said, get the help that we need and really know our capacities and stretch ourselves and reach, just like Lori did, you know, reach past obstacles and reach past things that would like to keep us down. We can do it. We are more than capable, and we can do all things through Christ. And I think that if there's an obstacle, it's been shown throughout history that we can break barriers and we can reach past the glass ceilings. So if we're not doing it, most of the time there's nobody stopping us but us. So we would just have a little faith in God and faith in ourselves and who He's created us to be confident in that, and just walk it out. And I think that we'll break
Powerful.
past those obstacles.
That's powerful. 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 Go ahead, Tamika Brown. You want to go ahead and share your sentiment on this question?
Sure. Honestly, I would just agree with the ladies. I think that's what with what Miss Moore said. That's actually was going to be my answer as well. I think, you know, one of the biggest obstacles that we can face is simply ourselves. A lot of times we get in our own way. Um, you know, much of that is unintentional, but we have certain traits, we have certain behaviors, just certain a certain mentality at times that, you know, can be a hindrance to our own success, to our own productivity and profitability. So I would say, you know, just we all need to try to make sure, especially as women, to just be sure that we have certain parameters in place that can help us be, you know, be as successful as possible, be as productive and profitable, not only for ourselves, but of course for our families, for our staff, for those that are, you know, really relying on us. And of course, as a child of God, you know, ultimately the things that we do are important, but it is those things that are eternal, that, you know, are long lasting. So the things that we are doing for the kingdom of God, to advance God's kingdom, are most important, and we have to make sure that we're healthy, we're wealthy, we're wise, and we're doing operating according to the will of God.
Amen. Well, guess what? We are out of time for this segment celebrating influential women in America for Women's History Month. And I want to thank our panel, First Lady Chanel Jackson Moore, Bread of Life Community Church in Miami Gardens, Jerry Robinson, author, certified life coach, and international preacher, and social media phenom. Also, Lori Hatley Davis, she's an author, also funeral director of the Hatley Davis Funeral Home in Miami, Florida, in 2 locations. Also, Tamika Brown, mental health professional and executive producer to the show. Isaiah Wallace, motivational speaker and owner of Crown Security Company and executive to the show. But let me just say this here, ladies, before we leave. I know you, we have authors here. How can we get your book, First Lady Moore? Where should our listeners go to get your book?
Hi, you can go to www.chanelmoore.com, and that's CHANEL more.com, just like the perfume, chanelmoore.com. You can find my book. It's titled I Am Every Woman, Prisoner to Pastor's Wife. And yeah, you can find it right there on my website.
Okay, hey, listen, that book may have just gone viral on our podcast. Humbly, I say. Also, Lori Hatley Davis, you also have 2 books out. How can our listeners get your book?
My first book is Faith Through It All. It's telling you about my journey. After maybe a week, it made bestseller on Amazon. You could get it off of Amazon, and you could also get it off my website, www.hatleydavisfuneralhome.com. My second book is Money Is Not Made for the Grave. It's educating people on death, dying, and bereavement, and letting people know what they face when they have to encounter death. Both of my books are on Amazon, and they also on my website as well.
Okay. All right. And I'd like to leave our listeners with this thought by Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Women belong in all places where decisions are being made. It shouldn't be that women are the exception. This is your Agent of Change signing off. I also please ask that you like this video from our YouTube channel. Again, this is your Agent of Change signing off with Crack the Mic.